This is Hollywood. Your pal Matias Bombal with you, and Universal Pictures gives us Two Guns. Note, it's not TWO, but the number 2, and in fact there are far more than 2 guns in this movie, and they're going off all the time. Our two principals, strapping Mark Wahlberg and Oscar winner Denzel Washington, shoot guns and funny buddy dialogue as they trot their way through this poorly constructed story, yet likable, due to the performance of a cast of good Hollywood talent. Years ago, when Carl Laemmle ran Universal, following a film's end title card, a sentence would top off the list of players that proclaimed, "A good cast is worth repeating." A good cast, with some very fine acting, is what holds this release together. Wahlberg and Washington are two operatives from competing bureaus who are forced on the run together whilst each is unaware of each other's undercover status. Universal calls it an explosive action film, and it is that, with car crashes and explosions galore. The cast is very good, with an excellent performance by Edward James Olmos as a drug lord working with the CIA. Bill Paxton is relentless and mean in a way atypical of his usual roles. He's so sadistic, his performance reminded me of the shock I felt when Henry Fonda played against type as Frank in Sergio Leone's Once Upon a Time in the West. Fred Ward has just a few moments on screen but is very good in a non-comedic role, and young James Marsden is attractively intense as a Navy officer caught up in the film's intrigue and not on the side of good. It must be a sign of my advancing age that I have little tolerance for the movies that show an orgy of violence and try to disguise that fact with humor and quick, funny lines. Dear movie makers, it does not make it any less violent by having it be funny, only more frightening that we are so desensitized. In the classic Western genre, or war films of the past, people were shot up left and right, but we often didn't see them bleed. It seems that filmmakers today want the hyper-realism thrown at us, with jokes. If we are pricked, do we not bleed? I'd like to add, in a more positive light, my appreciation of Mark Wahlberg the man. He's gone through a real-life hero cycle, starting on the streets of Boston as a tough punk, where he was often in trouble with the law, then venturing into rap music with his funky bunch, lucrative early work modeling in next to nothing for Calvin Klein underwear, and even this early exercise video which showed off his physique technique. He dropped his early moniker of Marky Mark and changed his whole life around, becoming a fine young actor, a responsible adult, and I think a great role model for young men who may have similar backgrounds. It's proof positive that your life is what you make it. Good for him. Two Guns is an explosive action film, and for those who love that type of film, highly entertaining. It's presented in the widescreen 2:3:5 aspect ratio and directed by Baltasar Comacour. This is your pal Matias Bombal, bidding you a fond farewell.